The apes of Simeon gather in their ancestral tree to welcome the birth of two sons to the king of apes. King Simeon rules over dozens of apes in an old tree somewhere in the savannah desert. Vladimir, the king's faithful advisor, lets the king know there is a problem. Apparently, the queen had given birth to two sons instead of one. The first monkey prince is so tiny and weak, but the second monkey is strong and healthy looking. Since the tiny monkey came out first, he is the direct heir to the throne. The monkey, which arrives and advises the king to get rid of the tiny prince as he is a bad omen, says he is a mistake by nature, and the apes will never accept him as their prince. The king yields and hands the baby to Vladimir to do away with the monkey while the queen sleeps. The queen looks for her babies when she wakes up and makes the king promise that he will take care of them, and she dies after that. King Simeon introduces the crown prince Vanya, the strong and healthy monkey, to the apes of the kingdom. Vladimir takes the weak monkey to a cliff to throw it into the mouth of the wolf. The child clings to Vladimir's hands, causing him to have a change of heart for a moment. However, Vladimir's allegiance lies with the king, so he throws the monkey and walks away. Meanwhile, the weak monkey didn't fall directly into the mouth of the wolf but was hanging on a vine. The wolf finally snaps the baby off the vine and bites one of its hands. Before the wolf can do total damage to the baby, a proboscis monkey saves it. The baby is unable to walk like an ape because its right arm has been ruined by the wolf's bite, so its savior, who is called Ian, allows him to ride on his back. The weak monkey is now an adult ape named Edward. He still rides on Ian's back because one arm no longer works, and the arm remains in his loincloth. Throughout the movie, they are good friends who get along, bickering and looking out for each other, and they live far from the other apes. Ian has a speech problem, so he cannot communicate properly. In their little shed, Edward is looking for some figs that he kept in a hole covered by leaves. He asks Ian for it, but the ape claims ignorance, and an argument starts. Edward finds a mouse and realizes that the mouse ate his food. He starts to pursue it around but cannot catch it with one arm. He discovers the tree sap and plans to use it as a trap for the mouse, but horn sounds distract him. The horn announces the beginning of Coco Ball, a sport that Ian and Edward love. Ian is reluctant to go since the two are often discriminated against by the other apes. Edward convinces him to go, and they settle on a branch to watch the games. The apes hanging from vines toss the ball around, aiming for a goal shot into the mouth of a skull, and the ball is a coconut fruit. Vanya is the first to score and is applauded by the crowd. Another match begins but gets interrupted when Ian tries to catch the ball but ends up falling headlong with it and throwing off the plates from their vines in the process. The ball bounces off, falls into a hole, and the pirates get angry and surround Ian to beat him up. But Edward thinks of something fast. He uses tree sap to get the ball out. The odd primates gather around Edward, asking how he did the magic, but Vanya shows up and takes the ball from Edward. Vanya tries to throw the ball, but his hand is stuck on it by the tree sap. The other primates try to get him off it, but they also get stuck. The chaos ends when the ball flies out of their hands and lands on King Simeon's head. Vladimir tries to get it off but pulls a tuft of hair in the process. The king wants to know the culprit but gets tossed around by Vladimir and his cousin Sergei. The witch notices Edward and asks Vladimir if he disposed of the child as asked, and Vladimir confirms that he did throw the child away. She threatens him and sends him off to find a solution. However, Vanya overhears their discussion and confronts his father about the possibility of another ape taking the throne from him. King Simeon promises to do something about it. Edward and Ian are in their nest arguing about the White Mountains. Ian always dreams about Sergei and Marcel showing up on the king's orders. They tell Edward that he has been summoned by the king. In the king's presence, Edward is accused of practicing magic. Edward explains once again that it is not magic but a few tricks he discovered and proceeds to show some of those tricks to the king. He makes a crown from leaves and makes a mirror by pouring water into a leaf. The king can see his reflection for the first time and is awed by his facial features. Edward makes a swing for the king and keeps talking to him.